Okay, with exponents and sets, there is a part of sets where you get to rationalize the denominator. So the only time you get to rationalize the denominator is if you have a fraction, and in the denominator of that fractions, there is a set form. So that is anything in the square root. So you will see with these fractions here, we have a square root of 3. We cannot have a square root of something in the denominator. So hence we need to rationalize that denominator. All right. So how do we go about that? So with one denominator like that, which is just root 3, what you're going to do is multiply this by a 1. So you take that denominator, which is square root of 3, over square root of 3. So that means you are multiplying by 1. Remember, anything divided by itself is a 1. Okay, so this is the same as multiplying by a 1. Okay, so then we're going to multiply the numerator by the numerator and denominator by the denominator. So 1 times square root of 3 will be equals to square root of 3. And then square root of 3 multiplied by square root of 3. We know by now that square root squared gets rid of the square root. So that means the answer here will be 3. So just remember, this is the same as root 3 squared because it's square root of 3 twice. Okay, and then that will be the answer there because we were rationalizing the denominator. So since there is no longer a set form in the denominator, then that fraction is fine. Then the next one, yes, this needs to be rationalized because the denominator happens to have a set form, which is square root of 5. So we need to rationalize that. Still, we're going to multiply by 1. But in this case, since the denominator has 2 terms, what we're going to do is change the sign there, the sign in the middle. Okay, so our 1 will then be the denominator as it is, but with a changed sign. So it's going to be 2 minus square root of 5. Remember, we are multiplying by 1, so we have to divide this by itself. 2 minus square root of 5. Just remember, if your denominator has 2 terms, remember that the 1 should be the denominator divided by itself, but with a different sign. If it was a negative here, then it was going to be a positive here. So now let's multiply. 3 multiplied by 2 is 6. And 3 multiplied by minus root 5 is minus 3 square root of 5 over 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. 2 multiplied by minus square root of 5 is minus 2 square root of 5. 5 multiplied by 2 is plus 2 square root of 5. And 5 multiplied, square root of 5 multiplied by square root of 5 will be minus. It's a positive by negative, so it's a negative. So we have square root of 5, the same as this story here. Then this is going to be 5. All right. The numerator there, we're going to take out a common factor. We know that there's a common factor of 3 between 6 and 3. So just remember, we always have to leave our answers in a simple form. You never want to have an answer that has a common factor between your terms. All right. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And minus 3 root 3 divided by 3 will be, minus 3 root 5 divided by 3 will be root 5. And in the denominator, we have 2 root 5 plus 2 root 5. So same magnitude, different signs. That's why they cancel. All right, so that's a 0. And then we are left with 4 minus 5, which is equals to minus 1. So the answer will then be minus 3 divided by minus 1 is going to be minus 3 into 2 minus square root of 5. So we are happy with that. And then the last one, we have two fractions and both of them have a set. There's root 2 and root 8. So we need to get rid of that as well. Okay, so with this one, the first fraction, we're going to say 2 over 1 plus root 2. So we have to rationalize that denominator by multiplying by 1. So our 1 in this case is going to be 1 minus. Remember the sign changes. 1 minus root 2 over 1 minus root 2. The second fraction has square root of 8, so we also need to rationalize that. So with this one, it's simple because it's just one term. So our 1 in this case will just be root 8 over root 8. Okay, 2 times 1 will be equals to 2, and 2 times root 2 will be minus 2 square root of 2. And in the denominator, 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times minus square root of 2 is minus square root of 2. Square root of 2 times 1 is plus, said 2, and square root of 2 multiplied by minus square root of 2 is going to be minus square root of 2 times square root of 2 is a 2. Okay, minus 8 times root 8 will be 8 square root of 8. And then we have square root of 8 times square root of 8 is 8. Okay, so we're going to have 2 minus 2 root 2 over 1 minus 2 is minus 1. 8 cancels with 8. And then that 8 we do not leave alone because we know that 8 can be 4 times 2. Just always check that number, always. If you can make it a certain number multiplied by a perfect square, please do not leave it alone. All right, like a 50. If it was a 50, we would say it's 25 times 2 because we know that 25 is a perfect square. But what if it's in the case of an 11? Then we would have left it alone because you can't make 11 2 times something that is a perfect square. But 8 is 2 times something that is a perfect square, that is a 4. So in this case, we have 2. Okay, 2 divided by minus 1 is going to be minus 2. Minus 2 root 2 divided by minus 1 is going to be plus 2 root 2. So that is a negative divided by negative, getting a positive. Minus square root of 4 is 2, and we do not have a square root of 2. Immediately notice that we have plus 2 root 2 minus 2 root 2. So those two cancel, and we are left with minus 2. Okay, that is all about rationalizing the denominator.